When you're asked to solve a quadratic using quadratic formula, what are you finding? So we've been studying quadratics for a while. You should know that when we are looking at quadratics, they can look something like this. They can be upside down. And what we're trying to find are the x-intercepts where they cross the x-axis. What is the quadratic formula? Well, if it's in this form, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. We know a is the number next to the x squared, b is the number next to the x, and c is the number by itself. We can plug into quadratic formula, which is x equals opposite b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So we've been practicing using this formula for a while to find the x-intercepts, the zeros, the roots, the solutions of a quadratic. Use the quadratic formula to find the solution to the following situation. Anthony shoots a basketball and the ball follows a parabolic path that can be modeled by the function h of t equals negative 0.125t squared plus 1.84t plus 6, where t is the time in seconds and h is the height in feet. If he missed the basket, how long does it take before the ball hits the ground? So first let's draw a picture of the situation. So let's say we have right here, he's taking a shot. Here's the basketball. It's going to go up and then it's going to go down. And we want to know how long does it take before it hits the ground. Label the following on your graph: vertex, min, max, zeros, y-intercept, line of symmetry. Okay, so let's draw this in. Okay, so here's a 0, which is also an x-intercept. Here's the y-intercept. Here's the maximum. And here's another x-intercept down here. Oh, line of symmetry, we forgot. Line of symmetry, here's the middle right here. If we were to fold it in half. If you miss the basket, how long does it take before the ball hits the ground? So you have to ask yourself, are you looking for the vertex where it changes direction, or are you looking for the zeros, the x-intercepts, where it hits the ground? So we're looking for the x-intercepts down here. Using this equation, we can do it a few different ways. We could use quadratic formula. We could try to factor this. That would be kind of hard to factor, or we could graph it. So let's use quadratic formula since we've been practicing that. All right, so if you use quadratic formula, we have x equals opposite b. B is 1.84, so negative 1.84, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, and a was that negative 0.125, times c, and c is the number by itself, 6, all over 2a. When we use quadratic formula, we talked about how I want you to calculate these three numbers so that you can minimize any error. So let's type that in. Exactly as you see it. I'll do the discriminant, the number under the square root sign. So let's use parentheses. We have 1.84 squared minus 4, parentheses, negative 0.125, and then parentheses 6. Okay, so there's the discriminant, the thing under the radical sign. You can see that there's going to be two solutions because this is positive, so I want you to write these numbers up. So we have x equals negative 1.84 plus or minus the square root of that 6.3856. And all of that over 2a, which is 2 times negative 0.125, so negative 0.25. Now we can split it up and get our two answers here. So the first one will be negative 1.84 plus the square root of the 6.3856. Hit enter. Divide by the negative 0.25, So that answer is negative. Negative 2.7, it looked like. 479. I'll just round to 5. Okay, and let's do the other one. Negative 1.84 minus the square root of 6.3856. Hit enter. Divide by the negative 0.25. And we get 17.465. Is that right? 467. So I'll just round this to 7. Okay. So it says if he missed the basket, how long does it take before his ball hits the ground? So according to this, it would take 17.47 seconds. That seems kind of long. Let's double check by graphing. So if we were to graph this, we're just going to type in the equation negative 0.125, and when we type it in, we'll use x, so x squared plus 1.84x plus 6. We'll graph it so we can see one of our zeros here. Here's the other one. Let's calculate by going to Menu, Analyze Graph, and we're looking for a 0 here. Yep, you can see that the math was right. It was 17.5 seconds about. All right, and the reason why we get two answers, one is negative. We don't look at that one. We're looking at this one right here. So today we're going to look at quadratics, and we're going to do a will it hit the hoop activity. So that'll be our classwork for today. We're looking at quadratics, and we'll talk about max, mins, and x and y intercepts as well.